The roof was full again. And Mr. Whitaker, I can't let you do that again. Hal had the coffee can tipped in his hand, the first pale line of morning just beginning to show over the roofs across the street. The pigeons were already gathered above him, gray bodies hunched along the gutter, heads bobbing, claws ticking softly on the shingles. He stopped before the seed fell. Nora Bell stood at the fence in her robe and house shoes, one hand gripping her phone, the other holding a damp rag like evidence. Her short silver hair was flattened on one side from sleep, but her mouth was already set for the day. Hal Whitaker was 73, old enough to know which part of his porch creaked and which kitchen drawer stuck in August heat. He had lived alone in the small stucco house since his wife died and with his daughter Claire, 2.5 hours away in Phoenix, close enough to worry and too far to stop by for coffee. The birds had started with 2, then 6, then more than he cared to count. They left every morning and they came back. Nora had lived next door long enough to know his routines and long enough to be tired of them. Hal lowered the coffee can a few inches. "Morning, Nora." "It is not a good morning." A pigeon shifted above him. Dust slid from the gutter. Hal looked up at the roof instead of at her. "They're hungry." "So am I, but I don't throw breakfast all over your yard." He gave a small laugh because it seemed expected. Nora did not smile. She lifted her phone and stepped closer to the fence. "Look at this." "I don't have my glasses." "You can see enough." He could. The screen showed her back patio, the round glass table with white streaks across it, the cushion of a chair marked in 2 places, feathers caught along the sliding door track. There was a close-up of something on the concrete that he did not let his eyes settle on. "I told you I'd rinse it down," he said. "You told me that last week." "I did rinse it." "You rinsed your side." The birds made a low, rolling sound above them, impatient but not loud. Hal hated that Nora could hear it. He hated that the sound, which had pulled him out of bed 10 minutes ago with something close to relief, now seemed rude in front of her. He tucked the coffee can against his hip. It had once held store-brand coffee Claire said tasted burnt. Now it held cracked corn and seed. The label had peeled from years of his hand wrapping around the same place. "They come, they eat, they go," he said. "Takes 5 minutes. They don't go to a different planet, Hal. They go on my roof, my patio, my chairs. I'll clean it." "I don't want you cleaning my patio at 6 in the morning. I want it to stop." A few houses down, somebody's sprinkler clicked on and started hitting gravel. Hal wished the sound were louder. He wished anything would cover the thin space between him and Nora's voice. She turned the phone back toward herself and swiped to another photo. "This was yesterday. This was after I already cleaned." He looked once. He should not have. There was a line of droppings along the low wall between their properties, white and gray, ugly in the new light. "They aren't hurting anybody," he said. "They are making a mess. They're birds." That's not an answer. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other. His left knee had been stiff since he got out of bed. He had not wanted to take the cane onto the porch. It made him look like someone who needed warning labels. Nora noticed everything. Her eyes dropped briefly to his leg, then came back to his face. "I'm not trying to be cruel," she said. "Then don't be." Her jaw tightened. For a moment, she looked less angry than tired. The rag in her hand was stained at one corner. She must have been outside before he opened the door, wiping something from the patio before sunrise. The thought bothered him more than he wanted it to. "I've asked nicely," she said, "more than once. And I said I'd keep them to my side. You can't keep birds to your side." He had no answer for that. One of the pigeons dropped from the roof and landed near his shoe. It was the dark-necked one, with the missing toe. The one that limped, but always made it first to the seed. Hal looked down without meaning to. The bird tilted its head at him, quick and expectant. Nora saw it too. "Don't," she said. Hal's hand tightened around the can. "It's one bird. It's never one bird." The pigeon took 2 small steps. Its claws tapped against the concrete. Hal could feel the morning slipping out of shape. Usually there was order to it. Door open. Warm air. First whistle. Seed in an arc. Wings. The coffee afterward. The kitchen chair by the window. A day that began because something had come back and wanted him there. Now Nora stood at the fence with photos and a damp rag, and the bird at his feet waited like it had not gotten the news. "I reported it," Nora said. He looked up. "Reported what?" "To the HOA. The letters landed harder than they should have. HOA meant envelopes, fines, meetings with people who spoke as if beige paint and human decency were the same subject. "You didn't need to do that." "I did." "Nora!" "I did, Hal. I'm sorry, but I did." He stared at her. The apology was there, but it did not move anything back into place. "What'd you tell them?" The truth that you're feeding pigeons every morning, that they're damaging neighboring property, that I've asked you to stop. Damaging, he repeated. Yes, they're not termites. They're not pets either. He almost said they were better than pets. They did not need a vet. They did not need a leash. They did not make a man explain why he talked to them while he filled an old pie tin with water. He did not say any of that. The pigeon by his shoe fluttered up to the porch rail. Several more dropped from the roof, encouraged by movement, by habit, by him standing where he always stood. Nora stepped back from the fence. Please don't make me call Claire. The name did what the HOA could not. It reached inside the house, into the kitchen with the unpaid water bill under the fruit bowl, into the bathroom cabinet with the pill organizer still full from Wednesday, into the bedroom where the sheets on Martha's side were tucked too tightly because he never slept there and never changed them either. Hal made himself look annoyed. Annoyance was safer. Claire has enough going on. I know. No, you don't. Nora's face changed. Not much. Just a small pull around the eyes. She had been a widow 6 years. Her son lived in Oregon and sent Christmas cards with printed messages. Hal knew this because the mailman once put one in his box by mistake. I know enough, she said. That right? I know when somebody's pretending they've got a handle on things. The words were not loud. That made them worse. Hal set the coffee can on the porch ledge. If he kept holding it, he was going to throw the seed just to prove he still could. You spying on me now? I live next door. That's not an answer. No, she said, it isn't. For a second, neither of them moved. The sun pushed a little higher, lighting the dust on the fence, the old water spots on Nora's phone. The pigeons gathered in a loose, nervous crowd near Hal's feet. They did not understand waiting without reward. They had come because they had always come. Nora looked at them, then at him. I can't keep cleaning up after your loneliness. He heard the sentence as if it had been said from another porch to another man. His face warmed before the rest of him could react. That's a hell of a thing to say. I know. You don't know anything about me. I know you're out here before the sun every morning with a coffee can full of birdseed. He picked up the can again because his hand needed something to do. Go inside, Nora. I will, and I'm calling Claire if this keeps going. You already reported me? Yes, and I'll call her too. She did not say it like a threat. That was the trouble. She said it like a woman who had reached the end of what she could carry and had decided to put the weight somewhere else. Nora turned away first. She walked back across her patio slowly, not because she was weak, but because she was angry enough to be careful. At her sliding door, she stopped and looked back. I don't want trouble for you, she said. I just want my home back. The door slid shut behind her. Hal stood on the porch with the old can in his hand. The birds waited. The dark-necked one had come down again and was pecking at nothing between two cracks in the concrete. He should have taken the can inside. He should have put the lid on and left them to find breakfast wherever birds found breakfast when old men became sensible. Instead, he tipped the can. Only a little, a thin scatter of seed, nothing like usual. It hit the concrete with a sound almost too small to hear. The pigeons rushed in, wings bumping, heads dipping, bodies crowding around his shoes. Hal stepped back so he would not crush one. His hand shook once, hard enough that a few more seeds jumped over the rim. Easy, he muttered. They ate like nothing had happened, like no one had taken pictures, like no one had said HOA or Claire or loneliness. Like the morning still belonged to the same shape it had yesterday. Across the fence, Nora's curtain shifted. Hal lowered the can and looked at the roof. It was still full, for now. Claire came with groceries. Claire arrived with 4 grocery bags, a plastic pill organizer, and the look she got when she had already decided not to start with hello. Hal watched her through the front window before she knocked. Her blue sedan sat crooked in the driveway, the engine ticking in the heat. She had parked too fast. One of the grocery bags had split at the top, and she held it against her hip with her elbow while her phone buzzed in the other hand. He opened the door before she could knock. You didn't have to drive all the way out here, he said. Claire looked at him for half a second, then passed him into the house. Hi, Dad. Hi. You going to let me in? He stepped back. She came through smelling like car air conditioning, hand sanitizer, and the coffee she bought when she drove too early. Her hair was pulled into a low knot that had come loose at the neck. She wore work pants and a sleeveless blouse, the kind of clothes that said she had meant to look put together and then life had gotten ahead of her. She put the grocery bags on the kitchen counter and did not take off her sunglasses until she had already opened the refrigerator. Hal stood in the doorway between the kitchen and living room. Make yourself at home. I'm just checking what you have. I have food. You have mustard, half an onion, and something in foil that might have been chicken last week. It's fine. It is not fine. She pulled the foil packet out and opened it with 2 fingers. Her face changed. "Don't make that face," Hal said. "I'm making the face because this should have gone out days ago. It didn't smell. You can't always smell when food's bad. I've been feeding myself longer than you've been alive." Claire shut the refrigerator door harder than she needed to. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She glanced at it, ignored it, then started unloading groceries. Eggs, yogurt, sliced turkey, a bag of apples, low-sodium soup cans, whole wheat bread, a rotisserie chicken in a plastic dome. Hal hated the dome most. It looked like something brought to a man who could not be trusted with a stove. "You talked to Nora?" he asked. Claire did not look up. "She called me. That woman has too much time." She sounded upset. "She's always upset. She waters rocks." Claire put the eggs in the refrigerator. "Dad, what? This isn't about Nora's landscaping. It's about her not liking birds. It's about her patio being covered in bird poop." "It is not covered." Claire finally turned. "She sent pictures." Of course she had. Hal walked to the table and moved a stack of mail from one chair to another. He did it slowly, as if he had meant to all along. "People take pictures of everything now. She said she's talked to you more than once." "She talks, that's true. Did she report it to the HOA?" He did not answer quickly enough. Claire rubbed her forehead with 2 fingers. "Dad, what do you want me to say?" "The truth would be nice. The truth is she doesn't like a mess. Nobody likes a mess. I told her I'd rinse it." "Are you rinsing it?" "When it needs rinsing." That's not an answer. He sat down because standing in his own kitchen while his daughter sorted his food felt worse than sitting. The chair gave its usual dry creak. Claire saw the mail then. Not because he wanted her to. Because Claire, when worried, had eyes like a broom. She picked up the top envelope from the stack he had moved. "Why is this still here?" "It's mail. Mail. It says past due." "I know what it says." "Electric?" "I was going to pay it." "When?" He held out his hand and "Give it here." She did not. She opened the envelope enough to see the notice inside. "Claire, I'm not trying to embarrass you." "Then stop." That landed. She put the envelope down, but not back where it had been. She placed it beside the pill organizer she had brought, making a small court case out of his kitchen table. Her phone buzzed again. This time she silenced it without checking. "What's that?" Hal asked, nodding at the pillbox. "You know what it is." "I have 1. You have 3. None of them are filled right." "My pills are fine." "Can I see?" "No." "Dad." "They're in the bathroom." She started toward the hall. He pushed himself up too fast. The chair legs scraped. "I said they're fine." Claire stopped. Her eyes dropped to his arm. He remembered too late. The bruise was yellowing at the edge, purple near the middle, just below the sleeve of his t-shirt. He had been careful for 2 days. He had worn long sleeves yesterday, even though the house was warm. This morning, he had forgotten. "What happened?" she asked. "Nothing." "That's not nothing." "Bumped it." "On what?" "The cabinet." "What cabinet?" "The one in the garage." "You were in the garage?" "For God's sake, Claire." She came closer. He pulled his arm back, but not fast enough to make it look casual. "Did you fall?" "No." "Dad." "I said no." She looked at him the way she had looked at her son once when he was 8 and had chocolate all over his mouth while denying the cupcake. That look did something ugly to Hal. "I'm not a child," he said. "I didn't say you were." "You're looking at me like one." "I'm looking at a bruise you won't explain." "I explained it." "Explained it. You gave me a cabinet with no location and then got mad when I asked." He walked to the sink and turned on the faucet, though there was nothing to wash. The water came out too hard and splashed the basin. Outside, somewhere above the roofline, a pigeon called once. He kept his hand under the water until it went cool. Claire heard it too. He could tell by the way her shoulders tightened. "Are you still feeding them?" she asked. He shut off the faucet. "Not this again." "Yes." "This again. They come by, I don't own the sky." "You're feeding them every morning." "Not every morning." It was a stupid lie. The kind the person told when he had no better one ready. Claire's mouth pressed flat. "Nora says it's every morning." Nora should watch less. She lives next door, so she said. Claire leaned against the counter. For the first time since she walked in, she looked less angry than tired. The drive showed on her then. The early start, the worry, the calls she had probably made with one hand on the steering wheel. Hal almost softened. Then she reached for the pill organizer, and he didn't. "I can't keep doing this," she said. He laughed once, short. "Doing what? Throwing away my chicken?" "Driving here because someone calls me scared." Nora wasn't scared, she was mad. She was concerned. She was nosy. She said you looked unsteady. The kitchen went still. Hal looked toward the window above the sink. The glass had old, hard water spots he had been meaning to clean. Beyond it, The porch rail cut a straight line across the morning glare. "I'm 73, he said. "Sometimes I look unsteady." "That's exactly what I mean." "No, what you mean is you want to come in here and count everything wrong." Claire closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them, she had put something away. Not the groceries, something in her face. "I want 1 week," she said. "1 week what?" "No feeding the pigeons." "No, just 1 week." "No. Let things calm down, let Nora cool off, let the HOA see it's handled." "There's nothing to handle." "There is, and you know there is, or you wouldn't be this defensive." He walked past her into the living room. The room smelled faintly of dust and warm upholstery. His recliner faced the television. Martha's old ceramic lamp sat on the side table, the shade tilted because he had bumped it with the vacuum last month and never straightened it. Claire followed him, but stopped at the edge of the rug. She had always hated that rug. Said the corner curled. Said someone could trip. He stood right on the curled corner. "Those birds aren't hurting me," he said. "They're causing problems. For Nora. For you too. They give me something to do." The line came out sharper than he meant. Not honest, not fully, but close enough that he wanted it back. Claire's expression changed, and he hated that too. The softening, the pity trying to disguise itself as patience. "There are other things to do," she said. "Name one." "Dad?" "No, go ahead, name one." She looked around the living room as if an answer might be sitting between the old magazines and the remote control. "You could go to the senior center again." "I went. Once." "Exactly. You could have lunch there. You could meet people." "I've met people." "Not if you stay here all day." "I like my house." "I know you do." "Do you?" She did not answer. Her phone buzzed again from the kitchen. This time she walked back and checked it. Work, he guessed. Or her son. Or the other life that always had a stronger claim because it was louder, newer, still moving. She typed something fast, then set the phone face down. "I'm not asking forever," she said from the kitchen doorway. 1 week, please." He sat in the recliner but did not lean back. "And if I say no, then I don't know what I'm supposed to do." "That's not my problem." The minute he said it, he knew it was mean. Claire took it without flinching, which made him feel worse. "No," she said quietly, "I guess it isn't." He looked at the television screen, black and dusty, reflecting both of them in faint shapes. Claire came back to the table and picked up the past due envelope, then put it down again. "I have Caleb's orthodontist at 4. I have to be back before traffic gets stupid. I left work hanging because Nora called and said you were out here doing something dangerous." "Dangerous?" he repeated. "Yes. Feeding birds is dangerous now. Falling is dangerous. Forgetting meds is dangerous. Ignoring bills is dangerous. Pretending none of it connects is dangerous." The room seemed to shrink around the word dangerous, not old, not lonely, not stubborn, dangerous. He stared at the rug. The curled corner had a dark line of dust under it. Claire's voice dropped. "I'm scared, Dad." He could have done something with that. A better man might have. Instead, he said, 1 week? She looked relieved too quickly. 1 week. No feeding them. No feeding them. And then everyone leaves me alone? She did not promise that. To her credit, she did not lie. "We'll talk after that." He gave a dry nod. "Sure." Claire packed the spoiled chicken into a plastic bag and took it to the outside trash. She filled the new pill organizer at the kitchen table. Asking questions, he answered badly. She wrote the electric bill amount on a sticky note and said she would help him pay it online before she left. He let her. Not because he needed help, because getting her out of the house required surrendering some ground. At the door, she touched his arm lightly, not on the bruise. "Call me if you need anything." "I won't." "I know," she said. She tried to smile. It did not hold. After her car backed out of the driveway, Hal stood by the front window and watched until the blue sedan turned at the end of the street. The house settled around him, quieter than before she came. On the kitchen counter sat the rotisserie chicken, the apples, the neat plastic boxes of pills arranged by day. Above the porch, 3 pigeons waited along the roofline. They looked down at him through the glass, heads tilting, patient in the way hungry things were patient. Hal did not move. Tomorrow, they would come back. The lie before sunrise. Hal woke before the birds made a sound. For a while, he stayed flat on his back, looking at the ceiling fan turned slowly above him. The house was still dark, the kind of dark that came just before morning and made every small noise stand out. The refrigerator clicked on. A pipe tapped once inside the wall. Somewhere outside, a truck passed on the main road and faded toward the lake. He did not move. 1 week, Claire had said. 1 week was nothing. A man could do 1 week. He had done harder things than ignore a few pigeons on a roof. He had worked double shifts in July heat. He had buried his wife and still remembered to put gas in the car afterward. He had signed Medicare forms and property tax checks and birthday cards for a grandson who texted thank you 3 days late. 1 week was not a thing that could beat him. Then came the first small scrape above the porch. A claw against the gutter. Hal closed his eyes. Another sound followed it. A soft shuffle. Then the low, thick cooing of one bird answering another. He turned his head toward the window, though the blinds were shut and there was nothing to see. The room smelled faintly of old sheets and the menthol cream he rubbed on his knee the night before. On the chair by the closet, yesterday's shirt hung where he had left it. Claire would have picked it up. Claire picked things up as if every object out of place had filed a complaint. The cooing came again. "Go on," he said, barely loud enough to hear himself. The birds did not go on. He waited until the clock on the dresser changed from 5:11 to 5:12, then to 5:13. He told himself waiting was the same as choosing. He told himself staying in bed proved something. 16, something landed hard enough on the roof to make dust shift in the vent. Hal threw the sheet back. His left knee complained when his foot touched the floor. He sat at the edge of the bed and let it settle before standing. The floor was cool under his bare feet. He reached for his cane, then left it leaning against the nightstand. He was not going to need a cane to walk to his own kitchen. In the hallway, the house looked unfamiliar in the half-light. Claire's pill organizer sat on the kitchen table, bright blue plastic, each day snapped shut like a row of little orders. Beside it were the apples she had bought. Too shiny, too many. The electric bill lay under a yellow sticky note in Claire's square handwriting. "Pay online with me Friday." He turned the note face down. The old coffee can sat on the second shelf near the back door. Hal saw it right away, though he had meant not to look. The plastic lid was pressed down tight, but a thin line of seed dust clung to the rim. He stood in front of it, with both hands resting on the counter. Above him, the bird shifted again. He picked up the can. It felt heavier than he expected. He took it down and held it against his stomach. Then he put it back. "There," he muttered. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, a wing beat against something, quick and close. He took the can down again. This time he carried it to the table and set it beside the pill organizer. The two things looked wrong together. One from Claire, one from him. He popped the lid with his thumb. The smell of seed rose up dry and plain. Corn, dust, grain. Nothing sentimental about it. Bird food from a feed store in a white paper sack scooped into an old coffee can because the sack tore too easily. His phone rang. The sound cut through the kitchen so sharply he almost dropped the lid. Claire's name lit the screen. Hal looked toward the back door, then at the birds he could not see, then answered. "You're up early," he said. "So are you." Her voice was thin with car noise, or maybe just morning. "I wanted to catch you before work got crazy. I was making coffee." "You don't drink coffee this early. I can start." A pause. He could picture her in her Phoenix kitchen, one shoulder holding the phone while she packed her son's lunch or searched for car keys. Always doing 3 things and calling one of them care. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Fine. Did you sleep okay?" "Claire, I'm just asking." "I slept." "And the birds?" He looked at the open can. "And what about them?" "You know what I'm asking?" A pigeon landed on the porch rail outside the kitchen window. He heard the little metal tick of its claws. Hal turned away from the sound. "I haven't fed them." The lie came out clean, too clean. "Oh," Claire said. There was relief in that one small word. It traveled through the phone and landed badly in the kitchen. "Good," she said. "That's good, Dad. Thank you." He stared at the sticky note turned face down on the table. "It's one morning." "I know, but still, it's not a parade. I'm not making it one." The bird outside cooed once, low and close. Claire was quiet for half a second. "Are they there now?" "They're birds. They're around. Just don't go out there, okay?" "I said I wouldn't feed them." "I know, She stopped. He heard something slam in the background, then her muffled voice turned away from the phone. "Caleb, grab your cleats from the laundry room, not the garage." Hal waited. She came back. "Sorry, you're busy." "Yeah, then go be busy." "Dad?" "What?" "I'll call tonight." "You don't have to." "I know." They both sat with that. "All right," he said. "Thank you for trying." He hung up before he said something that would make her call again. For a moment, he kept the phone in his hand. The screen went dark, and his face appeared in it, gray and bent by the reflection. He set it down beside the pill organizer. The pigeon at the window tapped once against the sill. "Damn it," Hal said. He carried the can to the back door, then stopped with his hand on the knob. Just a little. Not breakfast, not the usual. Just enough to move them along. Enough so they would not keep waiting. Enough so the one stuck with the missing toe would not stand on the porch rail looking stupid and faithful until the sun got high. He opened the door. The morning air came in warm already, dry against his face. The sky had gone pale over the rooftops. On the porch, 3 pigeons stood near the doormat. More lined the gutter. A dozen, maybe more. They turned toward him as one body. Hal stepped outside. "No crowding," he said. They crowded anyway. He took the lid off the can. The sound alone stirred them. Wings lifted, feet scratched. A gray bird hopped down from the roof. Then another, then 5 more. I said easy. He reached in and took one small handful. The birds waited. He scattered it near the far edge of the porch, away from Nora's side. A careful throw. A responsible throw. Nothing anyone could complain about if people were reasonable. The pigeons dropped to the concrete. Heads dipped, rose, dipped again. Their bodies made a soft, busy shifting around the seed. "There," he said. "That's it." The dark-necked one with the missing toe came late, limping between 2 bigger birds. Hal saw it get pushed aside. He looked into the can. "No," he said. The bird tried again, missed a kernel, and bobbed its head in that quick, foolish way. Hal reached in for another handful. This one he threw closer to his feet. Then another because the first did not spread right. Then he walked down the porch step and scattered some near the gravel where 3 birds had waded back from the others. The can was lighter now. He could feel it. "Just today," he said. The words were small, but he heard them. He heard how they matched the lie he had told Claire, only dressed up for himself. A car door closed somewhere down the street. Hal froze. The birds did not. They kept eating, soft and frantic around his slippers. He turned his head toward Nora's house. Her blinds were mostly shut. Mostly. There was a gap near the left side of the front window, just wide enough for a face or a phone. Hal stood with the coffee can in one hand and seed dust on his fingers. At first he saw only the pale reflection of morning in the glass. Then the curtain moved. Nora was there, not outside, not calling across the fence, not arguing, not asking, not wiping patio furniture with her damp rag, just standing behind the glass with her phone raised. For 1 second, they looked at each other through the window and across the yard. Hal's hand tightened around the can. The dark-necked pigeon brushed against his slipper. He looked down because it was easier than looking at Nora. When he looked back, she had lowered the phone. She did not wave. She did not shake her head. She looked tired in the window, smaller than she did at the fence. Then she turned away. Hal stayed on the porch until the birds finished. By then, the sun had cleared the neighbor's roofline, and the concrete had begun to shine with heat. He put the lid back on the can and carried it inside. The phone on the kitchen table was still dark. He picked it up, checked it, and saw no missed calls. Not yet. Across the counter, the pill organizer waited in its neat blue row. The sticky note still lay face down beside it. Hal set the coffee can on the shelf, farther back this time, where it could not be seen from the door. Outside, the last bird lifted from the porch rail and joined the others on the roof. Hal stood in the kitchen without turning on the light. At Nora's window, behind the glass, a small blue-white glow appeared and disappeared in her hand. The room Claire chose. Claire did not come to the door this time. Hal saw her car pull into the driveway just after 9, the blue sedan stopping too close to the trash bins. She sat there with both hands on the wheel. The engine kept running. Through the front window, he watched her look down at something in her lap. His phone buzzed on the kitchen table. "Come outside, please." He read it twice, then left it there. When he opened the front door, the heat had already begun to rise off the driveway. Claire looked up from the driver's seat. She had her sunglasses on, but he could see enough of her face to know she had not slept well. "You coming in?" he asked. "I thought we could take a drive." "No, Dad." He stood on the porch in yesterday's shirt, one hand on the door frame. Above him, the roofline was empty. Too late in the morning for the birds, or maybe early enough that he had missed them. He had stayed inside after dawn, though not because he had wanted to. Claire got out of the car. "I want to show you something." "You drove from Phoenix to show me something?" "Yes. That sounds like a problem already." She opened the passenger door instead of answering. "Please, just get in." He looked at the car, then at her. "What did Nora send you?" Claire's mouth tightened. There it was. Hal gave a dry laugh. "She's a regular little news crew. She sent me a video." "I know what she sent you. You told me you didn't feed them." "I said a lot of things." "That's your answer?" "It's the one I have." Claire took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were red at the edges, more tired than angry. That bothered him. Anger he could stand against. Tiredness made him feel like furniture somebody had to move. She held up her phone, not close enough for him to see clearly. "You're out there in slippers, Dad, in the dark. You're bending over. You're surrounded by birds. What if you fell?" I didn't. What if you did? I didn't. That can't be the whole plan. He looked past her toward Nora's house. The blinds were shut. He imagined her behind them anyway, phone ready, watching what kind of trouble her concern could make. Claire lowered her voice. I'm not going to fight with you on the porch. Then don't. I made an appointment. With who? Just get in the car. No, it's not a commitment. He stared at her. It's just a look, she said, so we know what the options are. Options for what? For if you need more help. I have help. You have me 2.5 hours away and a neighbor sending videos because she doesn't know what else to do. That woman knows plenty else to do. Dad, please. A pigeon crossed high over the street, fast and small against the white sky. Hal watched it go until he could not pretend he was still deciding. He shut the front door, locked it, and walked to the car without taking his cane. Claire noticed. She did not say anything. That was almost worse. Inside the car, the air conditioning blew hard against his knees. On the console sat a paper cup of coffee gone cold, a folder with a printed map, and a brochure turned face down. Claire moved the brochure before he could read it. Subtle, he said. She put the car in reverse. Seatbelt. I know how a seatbelt works. Then use it. He clicked it in with more force than necessary. They drove past the golf course, the strip mall with the urgent care, the storage units, the stucco houses sitting low under the heat. Claire kept both hands on the wheel. She had always driven like she was trying to obey rules before anyone made them. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then she said, You scared me. Good morning to you, too. I'm serious. I guessed. You lied to me. He looked out the window. You asked a question you didn't want the answer to. That's not how lying works. No, that's how daughters work. Her hands tightened on the wheel. Don't do that. Do what? Make this about me being bossy so you don't have to talk about what happened. What happened is I fed birds. You broke a promise. He turned toward her then. I said I'd try. No, you didn't. You said 1 week. The road hummed under the tires. He could smell the old coffee in the cup holder. Claire reached for the brochure and handed it to him without looking. It's called Desert Willow. Hal did not take it. She placed it on his lap. On the front was a smiling couple under a mesquite tree, both of them too well dressed to be real residents. Desert Willow Senior Living. Independent and assisted care options. The words sat in cheerful blue. Hal picked up the brochure by one corner. You've got to be kidding me. It's just a tour. I'm not going. We're already going. Turn the car around. No, the word was quiet, flat. He stared at her profile. For the first time that morning, he felt something shift that was bigger than irritation. Claire had said no to him, the way adults said no to children, and nurses said no to men in hospital beds. He dropped the brochure onto the floor mat. Pick it up, she said. No, she let it stay there. Desert Willow was 15 minutes away, set behind a low stone sign and a row of drought-tolerant plants arranged too neatly. The building was beige with green awnings, clean windows, and a circular driveway where a shuttle van waited with its door open. Hal did not move when Claire parked. Dad, I've seen it. You haven't even gone inside. I saw enough. Claire turned off the engine. The sudden silence made the car feel smaller. I took time off work for this. I didn't ask you to. No, you don't ask for anything. You just make everyone guess and then punish them for guessing wrong. The words hung between them. Claire looked away first. I'm sorry. No, you're not. She closed her eyes briefly, then opened her door. He sat there until the heat began pressing through the glass. Then he got out. Inside, Desert Willow smelled like lemon cleaner and coffee. The lobby had soft chairs, a fake fireplace, and a table with a puzzle half finished under a lamp. Somewhere down the hall, a television game show played too loudly. 2 women sat near the window, one asleep, one looking at nothing in particular. A woman with a name tag came toward them, with a smile already arranged. Mr. Whitaker? Hal stopped. Claire stepped in quickly. Hi, we spoke on the phone. Claire? Yes, of course. The woman shook Claire's hand first, then Hal's. Her hand was soft and cool. It's so nice to meet you, Mr. Whitaker. I'm glad you could come in today. He looked at Claire. Glad I could come. The woman either missed the tone or was paid not to react. We'll keep it simple. Claire mentioned you're still very independent, so we can talk through what support looks like without anything feeling overwhelming. Hal looked at the fake fireplace. It had plastic logs glowing orange behind glass. Medication management is a common starting point, the woman continued as they walked. Meals, transportation, fall response, housekeeping. Some residents just need a little structure. Claire walked half a step behind Hal, close enough to catch him if he stumbled. He did not stumble. They passed a dining room where tables were set for lunch, though it was barely 10. A man in a baseball cap sat alone with a cup of water, staring at the salt shaker. A staff member called someone sweetheart. in a bright voice that made Hal's teeth set. The woman opened a door near the end of a hallway. "This is one of our available studios." The room was clean. Bed, dresser, small table, kitchenette with no stove, bathroom with grab bars. Beige carpet. One window looking out at a courtyard with gravel and 2 young trees tied to stakes. Claire stepped in first. "It's bright." Hal stayed at the doorway. The staff woman smiled. "This one gets nice morning light." "No porch," Hal said. Claire looked at him. The woman tilted her head. "There's a shared patio just down the hall." "Shared," he said. "We do have raised garden beds. Some residents really enjoy feeding the hummingbirds." He almost laughed. Claire shot him a look, tired and pleading. "Do not make this harder." That was what the look said. The woman moved to the small table and opened a folder. "I printed out the basic information and I included the care levels we discussed." Hal heard it. "We discussed." He stepped into the room then, not far, just enough to see the papers. The folder had his name typed on the tab. Harold Whitaker. Under it, in smaller print, were words he had not given anyone permission to write. Medication reminders, fall concern, lives alone, daughter out of town. Claire moved toward the table. "Dad." He picked up the top sheet. A yellow sticky note was attached near the bottom. "Deposit received, room hold through Friday." He read it once, then again. The room seemed to get very quiet around the edges. The game show down the hall kept going. Someone laughed at the wrong volume. The staff woman's smile faltered. "We only do that to make sure families don't lose the option. It's fully refundable within..." Hal looked at Claire. "You paid for this?" Claire's face had gone pale under her makeup. "It's just a hold." "You paid for this room, so we wouldn't lose it." "We." "Dad, please don't do this here." He folded the paper once, not neatly. "When were you going to ask me?" "I was asking you by bringing you." No, you were showing me what you already picked." "That is not fair." He laughed once, low. "Fair?" The staff woman took a small step back. "I can give you 2 a moment." "No need," Hal said. "I've seen the room." Claire reached for his arm. He moved before she touched him. "Did you choose the room first?" he asked. "Or did you choose the lie first?" Claire's mouth opened, nothing came out. That was his answer. He set the folded paper back on the table, on top of his name. Then he walked out. He did not hurry. Hurrying would have given them something to worry about. He walked past the dining room, past the fake fireplace, past the puzzle with its missing blue pieces. At the front doors, he had to wait because they opened slowly, sliding apart like they needed time to decide. The heat outside hit him full in the face. Claire caught up in the parking lot. "Dad, stop." He stopped beside her car. "I panicked," she said. "Okay, I got that video and I panicked. You lied to me and Nora's calling and I don't know what's happening when I'm not here." He looked at the asphalt. Heat shimmered above it. A small dead leaf skittered under the car. "So you bought a room?" "I held a room. For me. For you to be safe." He got into the passenger seat and closed the door. On the drive home, Claire talked. She talked about refundable deposits, about options, about not making decisions in crisis, about how many places had wait lists, about medication and falls, and how she could not keep driving back and forth every time something happened. Her voice stayed controlled, but the words kept coming faster, filling the car until they stopped sounding like words at all. Hal watched Lake Havasu blur in the side window. Gas station, wash, tire shop, sun on windshields, a sky with nothing soft in it. At one red light, Claire said, "Please say something." He kept his face turned toward the glass. A pigeon stood on the curb near the intersection, pecking at something too small to see. When the light changed, it lifted off, clearing the hood of the car by inches. Hal followed it with his eyes until it was gone. The empty roof. The nurse asked Hal if he felt safe at home while Claire stood beside the exam table with her phone in her hand. Hal looked at the nurse, then at his daughter. "I have locks on the doors," he said. The nurse gave him the kind of smile people used when they were trained not to disagree with old men. "I mean, getting around. Cooking, medication, any falls recently?" "No." Claire shifted near the counter. Hal heard it. A small movement. Shoe against linoleum. He did not look at her. The exam room was too cold. The paper under him crackled whenever he moved, so he stopped moving. A poster about stroke symptoms hung on the wall beside a plastic model of a heart. His blood pressure cuff had left a red band above his elbow. "Dad," Claire said. He kept his eyes on the nurse. "What?" "This only works if you're honest." I answered. The nurse tapped something into the computer. "Any dizziness?" "No." "Missed medications?" "No." Claire made another small sound. Hal turned then. "You want to answer for me?" Her face tightened. She had been quiet all morning in a careful way, as if quietness itself could pass for kindness. She wore a black blouse, the same work pants from yesterday, and her hair pinned back too firmly. Her phone lit up, and she turned it face down against her thigh. "I want the doctor to have the right information," she said. "The doctor asked me?" The nurse looked between them and decided to look at the screen instead. "Do you live alone, Mr. Whitaker?" "You know I do. It's on the form." Claire stepped closer. "He's had some trouble keeping track of pills." "I missed one day." "You missed more than one." "You counted?" "I filled the organizer." "Then why ask me anything?" The nurse cleared her throat. "It's very common to need some support with medication." Hal looked at the blue gloves tucked in the box by the sink. Common. That was another word people used when they were preparing to take something from you. His phone sat in his shirt pocket, silent. He wanted to check the time. He did not want Claire to see him check it. The birds would have come and gone by now. Maybe they had waited. Maybe they were still on the roof, shifting in the heat, confused by the closed door. The nurse asked a few more questions. Claire answered half of them before he could. When the doctor came in, Claire used the same words from the assisted living folder. Fall risk, medication management, living alone, concerned neighbor. Hal sat on the paper sheet and watched his own life get reduced to items on a list. The doctor was not unkind. That was the problem. A kind man could still make a cage sound reasonable. "We're not saying you can't be independent," the doctor said. "We're talking about reducing risks." Hal buttoned his cuffs slowly. "Risks have been around a long time." Claire looked at him. "Dad?" "I'm answering him." The doctor suggested a cane, a medical alert button, someone checking in daily, a medication dispenser with alarms. Claire nodded at each suggestion like she was collecting tools. Hal stopped listening. Across the room, Claire's phone lit again. She glanced down, typed something with her thumb, then slipped the phone into her purse before he could see the screen. "Work?" he asked. She looked up too fast. "What?" "Your phone." "Just work." It was the same voice she had used at Desert Willow. Soft, reasonable, already hiding something. After the appointment, she took her time at the front desk. She asked for printed notes. She asked about referrals. She asked whether the office could send records to another facility if needed. Hal stood by the automatic doors and watched a young mother fill out forms while a toddler dropped crackers on the floor. The child looked at him once, serious and sticky-faced, then went back to crushing a cracker under one shoe. "Ready?" Hal asked. "Almost. You've been almost for 10 minutes. Claire took the papers from the receptionist and folded them into her purse. "Okay, let's go." The air outside struck hot and dry. Hal walked ahead of her to the car. His knee hurt, but he did not slow down. Claire unlocked the doors. "Do you want lunch?" "No." "You haven't eaten." "I'm not hungry. We could stop somewhere." I said no. She started the car, but did not pull out right away. She checked her phone again, holding it low near the console. Hal looked at her hand. "More work?" She put the phone face down. "It can wait." "Then let it wait." She backed out of the parking space. Her driving was different now, not careless, slower. At every yellow light, she eased her foot off the gas, though there was room to pass. She kept checking the rearview mirror, then the side mirror, then the road ahead. Hal watched the streets move by too slowly. "Why are you driving like that?" "Like what?" "Like you're following a hearse." Claire gave a tired breath through her nose. "I'm driving safely." "You always did like a rule." She did not answer. They passed the urgent care, the tire shop, a gas station with a sun-bleached sign. Heat shimmered above the road. A group of pigeons lifted from a power line near the intersection, all at once, and cut across the white sky. Hal followed them until they disappeared behind a roof. "How long did you say that appointment was going to take?" he asked. "I didn't." "You said quick." "It was quick." "It was not quick." "Dad?" He turned toward her. "What did you do?" Claire's hands changed on the wheel. "That was all, a small tightening. Enough." "What did you do?" he said again. "I made some calls." "What calls?" "To handle the immediate problem." The words opened cold in the car. "What problem?" "Please don't start yelling before we get home." "I'm not yelling." "You are about to." "Claire." She looked at the road. "The birds can't keep coming like that." He stared at her. She turned onto his street. The houses appeared one by one, low and quiet in the late morning glare. Nora's house came first, blinds half closed, patio umbrella tied down. Then his mailbox. His gravel, his driveway. Something was wrong before the car stopped. The porch was too bright. Claire pulled in slowly and put the car in park. Hal did not unbuckle. He looked through the windshield. The concrete in front of his porch was wet. Water ran in thin lines toward the driveway, carrying pale streaks of soap. The old pie tin he kept near the wall was gone. The shallow plastic tub he had set under the eave was gone. The little wooden shelf beside the porch post was gone. The coffee can was not on the ledge. The roof was empty. Hal opened the car door. "Dad," Claire said. He stepped out. The smell hit him first. Bleach, wet concrete, hot hose water. Under it, something scraped and raw, like dust after rain. A man in a gray work shirt was near the side yard, coiling a hose. He did not look at Hal for long. Another man lifted a black trash bag into the back of a white pickup. The bag sagged with weight. Claire came around the car. "I told them not to use traps." Hal kept walking. The porch looked larger than it had that morning. Clean. Stripped. The corner where seed usually gathered had been scrubbed pale. The rail had wet streaks where someone had washed off the droppings. The small crack near the step, where the dark-necked pigeon always pecked, was clean too. Too clean. Hal reached for the porch post. His fingers touched damp wood. "Where's the can?" Claire stopped behind him. "Dad, where's my coffee can?" They threw away anything with seed in it. He turned slowly. She was holding her purse against her body with both hands. The papers from the doctor's office stuck out of the top. It was attracting them, she said. He looked past her to the truck. The man in the work shirt shut the tailgate. The sound cracked through the yard. A few pigeons circled overhead. 4, then 7. They moved in a loose, broken pattern above the house, wings flashing silver in the sun. One dipped toward the roof, then rose again. Another landed briefly on the gutter, looked down and lifted off before its feet settled. Hal stepped into the yard. He put 2 fingers to his lips and whistled. The sound came out thin. He tried again. This time it was stronger. The old call, 2 short notes and 1 long. The birds circled. None came down. Claire said something behind him. He did not hear the words. The dark-necked one was there. He saw it on the neighbor's roofline, smaller than he remembered, head jerking, body angled toward the porch. It hopped once along the gutter. Hal reached into his pocket, stupidly, as if seed might be there. Nothing. He whistled again. The bird did not come. A truck engine started. The white pickup backed out of the driveway. Hal stood in the yard while it rolled past him, carrying the black bags, the old tin, the tub, maybe the coffee can, maybe every small, ugly thing that had made his morning's work. The pickup turned at the corner and disappeared. The birds remained overhead a little longer. Then, one by one, they shifted toward the next roof, then the next, then farther down the block. Hal walked back to the porch. His shoes left marks on the wet concrete. Claire followed, but not too close. "I had to do something," she said. He looked at the empty ledge where the coffee can had sat. "The HOA was going to fine you." Nora was upset. The doctor said to take my pills." He said more than that. Hal bent down beside the trash can near the garage. The lid was half open. Inside were paper towels, a cracked plastic scoop, and the yellow label from the old coffee can peeled away and stuck to something wet. He reached in and pulled the label free. Claire made a small sound. "Dad, don't!" He held the torn label between 2 fingers. It dripped onto the concrete. There was no can, no seed, no reason for the birds to wait. He straightened slowly. The house behind him looked ordinary. Brown door, dusty window, porch mat, dark with water. It was his house. But the porch no longer seemed to know him. Claire stood near the step, her face tight with the effort of not crying or not defending herself. Maybe both. "I did it to keep you safe," she said. Hal looked at her for a long moment. Then he turned toward the roof. Empty. He listened for claws, wings, the low, foolish murmur that always came before the day began. There was only the faint hiss of water running down the driveway. He looked back at Claire. "You cleaned it up," he said. His voice was so quiet she leaned forward to hear him. "You cleaned the house up real good." "Dad!" Now it looks like nobody ever lived here. The only living things. Claire kept saying his name, not loudly, not the way she had in the car or at the doctor's office. She said it like she was testing whether it still belonged to her. "Dad." Hal stood on the porch with the wet concrete under his shoes and the torn coffee label in his hand. Water crept along the cracks, carrying little gray lines of dirt toward the driveway. The roof above him was empty. "Dad, please look at me." He folded the wet label once. It tore in the middle. Claire took 1 step closer, then stopped. She had learned that much, at least. "I didn't know they'd throw the can away," she said. He looked at the torn paper in his fingers. The words on it were almost gone. The brown and red of the old coffee brand running into a muddy blur. "That's the part you didn't know?" Her face changed. "I told them to remove the food sources, the nesting stuff, anything that would make them keep coming back." He nodded once. The words came out before she could soften them. Keep coming back. That was the job she had paid for. "They said if we didn't do it right away, they'd return," she added, quieter. Hal looked at the porch rail. A clean streak ran down the side where someone had scrubbed too hard. Claire held the papers from the doctor's office against her chest. The HOA was going to fine you. Nora was upset. The doctor said you need help. I can't be here every morning. To make sure you don't fall on the porch in slippers. He stepped past her into the house. Inside, it was cooler, but not better. The kitchen smelled faintly of bleach from the open door. The groceries Claire had bought 2 days ago still sat in their places, too organized, too bright. The blue pillbox waited on the table. Claire followed him in. I know you're mad. He put the torn label on the counter. Mad, he said. I know it was a lot. He turned then. A lot. She looked down. I'm trying. No, he said. You're doing. The line stopped her. He went to the sink and turned on the water. He rinsed his fingers, though there was nothing left on them but paper pulp and damp seed dust. He took too long. The water ran over his knuckles, into the drain, loud in the small kitchen. Claire set the doctor papers on the table. I got a call from Nora. Then I got that video. Then the doctor is telling me about fall risk and medication, and I'm supposed to just drive back to Phoenix and hope you're fine? He shut off the faucet. You were supposed to ask. I did ask, you lied. He dried his hands on the towel by the stove. The towel was still damp from the morning. So you lied better. Claire's eyes filled, but she did not cry. She pressed her lips together and looked toward the living room, toward the old recliner, the tilted lamp, the folded blanket on the armrest that Martha had crocheted 30 years ago and Claire had probably forgotten came from her mother's hands. I was scared, she said. Hal did not answer. I'm scared all the time now. You don't pick up right away, and I think maybe you're on the floor. Nora calls, and I think maybe this is it. I get a number from Lake Havasu on my phone, and my stomach just... She stopped, angry at herself for saying too much. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. He leaned against the counter. You made a list. That's not fair. You made appointments, you bought groceries, you put my pills in little boxes, you paid for a room. I held a room. You paid for it. She looked at him then. Because I'm trying not to lose you. The house went quiet around that. Outside, a bird called from somewhere down the block. Not close, not on his roof. Hal moved to the kitchen chair and sat. His knee had started to ache. He was tired in a way he did not want her to see. There were too many things in the room that belonged to her now. The apples, the pillbox, the doctor papers, the worry. Claire sat across from him, but not fully. Just on the edge of the chair, purse strap, still on her shoulder as if she had not earned the right to stay. I know the house is a mess sometimes, he said. She swallowed. I didn't say that. You said plenty. I said I was worried. I know what worry looks like when it starts opening cabinets. Claire looked away. He stared at the table. There was a small, half-moon mark in the wood where Martha had once dropped a serving dish. Claire had been 16 then and had laughed until Martha laughed too. Hal put his thumb on the mark. Nora wasn't wrong, he said. Claire looked back at him, careful now. She's got a right to her patio. I know that. I know the birds make a mess. I know I'm slower than I was. I know the pills don't take themselves. His voice sounded plain to him, almost too plain for what it cost. I did fall, he said. Claire's hand tightened on the purse strap. In the garage, last week, I tripped over the extension cord. Dad? I got up. How long were you down? He lifted one shoulder, long enough. She closed her eyes. Don't do that, he said. Do what? Make the face. What face? The one where I turn into something you found broken. Her eyes opened. She did not argue. He pushed the pillbox slightly with one finger. It slid half an inch across the table. I forgot the Wednesday pills and Thursday morning, maybe one other, I don't remember. Claire's breath came out rough. And some days I don't cook, he said. Not because I can't, because there doesn't seem much point dirtying a pan for one plate. The words sat there between them. He almost picked them back up. Claire's voice came small. Why didn't you tell me? He looked at her then, really looked. His daughter had lines at the corners of her eyes now. Her hair had loosened from the pin. She looked like someone who had been running behind her own life for years. What would you have done? She did not answer. He nodded, and that's why. Outside, wings beat once overhead. Both of them heard it. Hal stood before he meant to. Claire started to rise too, but he lifted a hand and she stopped. He went to the front door and opened it. The porch was still damp. A few pale bubbles clung near the step. The sun had shifted, putting the roofline in hard light. Empty gutter, empty rail, empty eave. One pigeon circled high, then moved on. Claire stood behind him in the doorway. I thought if they stopped coming, she said, it would make things easier. For who? She did not answer fast enough. Hal stepped onto the porch. The concrete sucked faintly at the soles of his shoes where it was still wet. He looked at the roof, then at the clean place where the wooden shelf had been. Mornings are long after somebody dies, when he said. Claire was very still. He kept his eyes on the empty rail. Your mother used to be loud in the morning. Cabinet doors, radio, spoon against the mug. She'd talk to the weather report like it could hear her. He almost smiled, but it did not make it all the way. After she was gone, the house got too careful. Like everything was waiting for me to make a sound first. Claire said nothing. The birds came for the water at first. Then the seed. Then they just knew. He rubbed his thumb against his fingers, feeling for seed that was not there. They'd go off and do whatever birds do, but next morning, there they were. His throat worked once. He hated that. Claire whispered, "Dad." He looked at her. "They're the only living things that come back to me every day." The sentence did not echo, it just dropped. Claire's face changed slowly, as if she had understood each word before she understood what she had done with them. Hal looked away first. "I'm not going to that room," he said. "I know." "No, you don't. I'm saying it so you hear me. I'm not moving into that room you picked." Claire nodded and okay. "And I'm not saying I'm fine." Her hand went to her mouth, then down again. "I need the pills sorted. I need the garage cleared. I need somebody to show me how to pay the damn bill online because every time I try, it wants another password." He looked at the porch. "But I don't need you sneaking around my life like I already left it." Claire nodded again, too fast this time. "I'm sorry," she said. He did not answer. She waited. He could feel her waiting for something larger than silence. Forgiveness, maybe. Permission to stop feeling what she was feeling. He did not give it to her. After a while, she picked up the doctor papers from the kitchen table and put them in her purse. Not all of them. One sheet she left behind, folded beside the pill box. "I'm going to go," she said. "I'll call you tonight." He looked at her. She corrected herself. "No, I'll come by tomorrow morning." "Phoenix is 2.5 hours." "I know." "You have work." "I know." He wanted to say that was stupid. He wanted to say not to make promises she could not keep. He said nothing. Claire left before sunset. That night, Hal did not turn on the television. He ate half a chicken sandwich standing at the sink. He took the pills from the Thursday slot because Claire had moved them there and because this time he remembered. Before bed, he went to the porch once. The roof was empty. He did not whistle. In the morning, the car was already in the driveway when he opened the door. Claire sat on the porch step with 2 paper cups of coffee beside her. She wore jeans and the same black blouse from yesterday under a loose cardigan. Her hair was down. She looked cold, though the air was already warm. "I didn't want to knock," she said. Hal stood in the doorway. "I can go," she added. He looked past her to the fence. Nora's curtains were still closed. The porch rail was clean, too clean. A pigeon landed on the far end of the fence. Claire turned her head slightly but did not speak. The bird walked 2 steps, looked down at the porch, then lifted away into the morning. Hal watched it go. Claire's voice was low. "I'll come back tomorrow." He sat beside her slowly. She did not reach to help. For a long time, neither of them touched the coffee. Beside the porch, near the trash can, something caught the light. Hal leaned forward and picked it up. The old coffee can had been rinsed and crushed slightly on one side, but it had not made it into the truck. Maybe it had rolled under the bin. Maybe someone had missed it. There was no seed in it. Hal set the empty can on the step between them. Claire looked at it, then at him. He did not say it was all right. He did not move it away.